Brainstorm is here for a very important reason, and that important reason is because I screwed up. See, before the much appreciated Michael Hardy took over as the Klingon Emperor and blessed us all with more Babylon 5 than we could eat, the previous Klingon Emperor was Paul Fluke. And I really hope I pronounced that right, because he even sent me an audio file of him saying his own name, and I'm still not sure if that was quite right. He was interested in Stargate Atlantis when he was the Klingon Emperor, and I did a bunch of them for him. Only problem is, when I was doing all of these restorations for YouTube, what I did was I used the original editing files as much as possible to serve as the starting point. And all the Klingon Emperors were updated in that time to the new person. So this whole time, as I've been putting up the Klingon Emperor credit for Atlantis, it's been the wrong one. So as a way of apologizing for this rather large screw-up on my part, we're going to head back to Atlantis with a brand new review. One of the last episodes of this series, Brainstorm. 2 words, there's a reason for that. We kick off learning that by this time, everyone gets 2 weeks of vacation on Earth. So McKay, who's having lunch with Keller, tries to ask her to come with him to a big scientific hubbubaloo, if I may be technical. He does so as if he's being paid by the word. McKay wants to go to this thing run by a guy who was working on his doctorate at the same time as him, but he's concerned because it's full of all these big names in physics, and, for the last decade or so he's been working on top secret stuff that he can't talk about, so everyone thinks that he's just off in La La Land or something. Basically, it's a crowd full of people who think he's either washed up or is living in a hot air balloon or something. She says she'll go with him on the condition that he actually has to ask her on a date to it, not continue trying to explain why she absolutely has to come with him with an emphasis that borders on, and I don't want people to know I'm actually gay. Meanwhile, in the desert on Earth, David Foley is playing Rodney's frenemy, Tunny, working at Kramer on some project that some of the subordinates are having doubts about. Well, he assures the big boss not to worry. That's just the usual blathering of ignorant people. Wah, wah, I don't want you to destroy the Earth. Wah, wah. He says, don't worry, nothing will go wrong. So, let's settle down for the episode where everything goes wrong. After the titles, Keller can't help but marvel at being on a private jet, but McKay makes clear this is not an act of kindness. This is gloating. Keller finally gets him to see that he's being a bit of an ass on their date, so he says, yeah, okay, I'll try to do better.
Just need you both to sign this non-disclosure and confidentiality agreement.
Man, who does Tunny think he is, iTunes? Once they get past this checkpoint, they soon run into none other than Bill Nye the Science Guy and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Both of them proceed to give McKay shit, saying that Keller must be his sister, and when Rodney complains about Tyson stealing one of his ideas, they just make fun of him. That everyone was always stealing Rodney's ideas. Yeah, sure. The only one that wasn't stolen was making Pluto not a planet. McKay leans into Tyson over that one. This right here is almost the entirety of Tyson's cameo. He's just seen briefly and silently in the amphitheater. But not to worry, we get Bill Nye the whole way through this episode. Maybe he'll finish this whole thing up with a baking soda volcano for us. So as the presentation begins, Tunny melodramatically goes on about global warming to the point that Rodney and Keller start quietly heckling him.
What can one person really do to make a difference? What can I, with my particular and unique skill set, do to help?
He does make it incredibly easy for them, though. His announcement is that with financing from Kramer Innovations, he's figured out how to cool the planet. He's built a massive heat sink to draw in and cool things down. All well and good, but you need to send that heat somewhere. Well, not to worry, Tunny has already thought of that and come up with an answer. Into another universe. It's always the obvious answers that we miss. McKay is aghast. This is this bridge that he made back in McKay and Mrs. Miller, the one that was causing problems in another universe and was generally very bad. Well, he's doubly aghast. First, because this idea was stolen from him, and that matters to him a lot. But second, that Tunney plans to turn this thing on with them in here, and with a plasma field or something to keep them all contained inside the building. Well, it's meant to keep the air contained, it just keeps them in as a fun byproduct. McKay doesn't make such a big deal about the former, but most definitely about the latter. This is going to be dangerous, he insists. Except with his history, it sounds like McKay is just jealous and trying to step on Tunney's moment. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson rolls his eyes. "Ah, Rodney, you've lost Tyson, you poor bastard." McKay reads through the paper that everyone gets and sees it's obvious that this is his work, and, having tried to save them all once, now settles for petty spite. He and Keller head into Tunney's office to access his laptop. There's an Easter egg in here that I particularly enjoy. You'll see that Tunney's screensaver is actually a picture of himself. Not himself with anyone, or in a spectacular place, it's just a picture of him. You know, when I graduated from college, this is a true story, I needed to get pictures taken, and being broke, I went to someplace like Sears or something for one of those package deals. They took 6 pictures of me with different backgrounds. And then they put together a collage of them all, and it said, okay, yeah, you bought this one, but you could buy our deluxe package and get this lovely collection. And I was just like, what kind of egomaniac wants a collage of 6 different versions of themselves in the same suit in front of fake backgrounds? I told her I did not need that. One picture of me was already probably more than what the world needed. I mean, the fact that after 25 years, none of you have ever seen me is a testament to how deep-seated my insecurities really are. Anyway, seeing this Tunney guy, I mean, look, at least McKay's ego comes from an appreciation of genius. It's just that as a genius, he appreciates himself very much. But aside of putting his face on the flag of an imaginary country that turned out to be real, I can't really recall McKay being this in love with himself, like, ever.